Good evening, parents, CHCA families. We just completed our first day of What's Next, CHCA 2.0. I walked around all the buildings today, and it was an unusual feeling. Beautiful spring day, sunny. Everything seemed right and normal until you went inside buildings and there were no sounds, no students, except for some teachers who were working from their desks. There was no one around, which is very different from what we usually experience, the life, the energy, and the excitement in the spring. But it was still CHCA. There was teaching and learning going on all across this city and literally all around this world as we continue to educate our students, both here in Cincinnati and international students who have gone back to their homes in the midst of this crisis. Who could have imagined, as we started this new year, 2020, that a few months later, we'd be in the situation we find ourselves. I found myself thinking these past few days about another crisis time at CHCA. We've been thinking about our past a lot this year, with it being our 30th year anniversary. And for those who've been around CHCA for a while, in the spring of 1999, in April, tragedy struck as a tornado hit this campus, the Founders Building, took the roof off the building, made education impossible to continue in this place. It was a crisis, and our community responded. We figured out how to move an entire school building into a wing of the high school and into the gym, and they finished out the rest of the year continuing to be CHCA. Well, this year, with this crisis, we have no buildings available. We have no spaces in which we are allowed in shelter in place to bring students to learn. But as I love to say to our students, to our teachers, to our families, every chance that we get, CHCA is a learning community and is a faith community. CHCA is not buildings, even though we're blessed with a beautiful campus with buildings at 4 different spaces in our city. But what happens, what's really important, is the benchmark learning that goes on day after day, year after year, helping mold and shape young people into the people God created them to be. And so with only 2 days, our faculty and all 4 buildings have been working and collaborating and innovating to say, how can we continue to do what we do? How do we continue to take the benchmark learning that makes CHCA the place that it is and continue to provide that for our students and for our families? And what's more than that, we've asked the question of how do we continue to be the dynamic, vibrant community that CHCA is? How do we continue to come together, to lift each other up, to support each other in a hectic, anxious, and for some a very frightening time? And so that's what we've ventured into. That's what began today. And so I know there's probably all kinds of talk around your dinner table today about how this went, about what was great about it, what felt really good, maybe some frustration points. Trust me, the teachers are having the same conversations with themselves. Some of your students adapted very well to this new way of learning. Others, they're still figuring out how to get into a Zoom conversation or how to even find the right time to wake up to get to where they need to be. But we're going to give some extra grace to your students as they figure out a very new way to do school and think about learning. We ask that you do the same with us as teachers are learning to master very new ways. We said this morning that for all of us, it wasn't just like the first day of a school year, but it felt like what it feels like for a teacher on the very first day of teaching. There were nerves, there was anxiousness, but we've gone into it with a sense of excitement, with a sense of purpose, because as of now, this is a 2-week process for us, but we don't know what will come. We don't know what will happen, but we are excited about continuing to move forward, helping your children to learn, helping them to grow, helping them to have a sense of wonder and excitement. We always talk about helping our students gain this passion to learn, lead, and serve. And we're going to continue doing that. Whether they're in these buildings, whether they're in your homes, whether they're on some kind of a trip around the world, is what we do at CHCA. And so we are going to continue. We're going to continue to think about how we're doing this and continue to be better and more effective. Because the bottom line of this thing is that it is causing us to grow as a school. It's causing us to grow as a community. And so I'm going to ask a couple things of you. One, continue to engage your students as thinkers and learners. Because one of the skills they need to learn in this process is the real world skill that they're going to need for college and beyond. How can they be self-motivated, directed, self-paced learners? How can they be part of a learning community that will not always be sitting in the same room at the same time? It's more and more what college looks like. It's more and more what your work environment looks like. This is an opportunity from our youngest students to seniors who are getting ready to graduate to give them that skill. Encourage them, push them, have the conversation about how you can help them adapt to this new way of studying and learning and growing. And the other piece is maybe even more important. CHCA is not just a place where we teach your students benchmarks of learning. It's not just a place where we give them things to learn, to know, to do, and to understand, but it's something bigger than that. As a community, it's a community that grows together, that plays together, that lifts itself up together, that encourages one another, that supports each other. In this time of social distancing and people being sheltered in place, we're going to be looking for every kind of way we can to actually utilize technology to continue to bring our community together. So we're going to be thinking, we're going to be experimenting, we're going to be trying things to have virtual social space. And think with us. If you come up with ideas, if you think of ways that we can continue to grow as a school and community, we would love to hear that from you too. Keep us in your prayers. We're excited about what happens here because we are not looking at this as simply some bracketing out of normal school and it's something that goes away when the coronavirus dissipates or we find a cure or a vaccine. We're looking at this as the beginning of something new. Something that helps CHCA grow, helps CHCA expand its reach, helps CHCA to be a kind of kingdom community that can have more effect in more places for more students, both in this city and around the world. And so we're excited about the future. We're excited that you're part of it with us. And we're excited to keep growing. So we're going to be giving you chances for feedback over the next couple of weeks to see how this is going. Give us time to kind of grow into this new space. But we're excited for your students and for the opportunities ahead. Have a great night, and we'll be back at it tomorrow.